Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this CREST and CERIS webinar that is coming out to you. I will hand over to your presenters very shortly. Just to go through them, you can probably see them on the screen right now, and we've got Pete Sanders, who's from Identify Global, Dan Hathaway, who's from SecureSource. We have Chris Dunn from InfoSec People, and Sam Alexander from CREST. Today I will hand over to them because they will talk through what the itinerary and the agenda is of today. Just before we get started, just some things about the questions. So I am sure that there will be questions that you will like to ask by the end of this presentation. So you don't forget them. There is a chance of typing them in the question pane, and I will make sure that those questions get answered for you. If you wish to raise your hand and ask a question at the end, we can obviously unmute you and allow you to do that. And then if we don't get round to asking your, answering your questions today, then we can look at getting back to you through email or have a conversation. So please don't think that we will miss any off if we run out of time. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. I am going to hand over now to Pete Sanders to start the presentation. Thanks, Pete.
Morning, Debbie. Yeah, thanks for that, and morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, the first in a series of webinars which is aimed at updating potential and current members of all things CERIS and what's going on. It's aimed at improving the standard and the knowledge base of our members and future members as well, and to bring you up to speed with everything that's going on in the security world. I'm delighted today to have some really great speakers in Chris Dunn. He's going to give you some insight from his world and how you can win new business. We've got Dan Hathaway who's going to give you some really good insight into what CERIS is all about, and also a bit more about what it means to be a member. And Sam's going to update you on some things that have gone in the background, and also some things that are going on in the world of CREST as well. So thankfully I'm not doing much talking today, which is you'll be pleased to hear. So I'm going to hand you straight over to Chris.
Wonderful. Morning all. So Chris Dunning-Walton, as it happens, but probably easier to be Chris Dunn. It's a much shorter business card. But thanks, Pete, and really good to have everybody online this morning. So Pete and Dan asked me to come up with something that might be valuable to you as either members or potential members of CERIS moving forward. And there's a bit of a flavour, I guess, of the kind of things that we want to be talking about as a community of recruiters. And recruiters, it is okay to talk with each other. That's okay, that's good. We should be supporting each other. We're not islands. And there's more than enough business to go around for us all to be, I think, being competitive whilst also building our community. So when Dan and Pete asked me to think of a few things, I thought I would share with you probably one of the most transformational realizations for us at InfoSec around what we do as recruitment consultants in the industry for our clients. So we're going to be talking about how to win more exclusive and engaged clients, and how we basically don't sell those. So the first thing you got up on the screen is what's the difference between exclusive, engaged, and contingency multi-agency searches. So I think all of you are probably rolling your eyes right now and go, oh, I know the difference. Exclusive means that I get the role exclusively from the client. Yes, it does. If we think about it in the raw terms of what we get as a supplier. And then engaged is obviously they pay you money up front, which is always nice, and that's great if you think about it in the context of what we do and who we are and what we want. But what I'm going to ask you to think about today, very briefly, I've only got about 7 minutes, so I'm not going to go through it too much. And if you want to grab me offline afterwards, then I can go into it in a bit more depth. Is what the client wants, what the client needs, what the differences are from the client's point of view, which is absolutely the key, and also means that you don't have to sell anything throughout the process. And we do this with candidates all the time, but actually it's talking about, what I'd like to talk to you about is the thinking around how we work with clients as we do with candidates, around walking them into a realization of what they might want and need from us as suppliers. So we'll start with the first little key point now about what's the difference between different areas. From the client's point of view, Often I think recruitment companies struggle to maybe highlight the differences between an exclusive and engaged and a contingency multi-PSL approach. And fundamentally, the difference is in the approach that we are able to take to market about them, or should be, around how we're able to do our job for them. So how often do we find we're working with a client and they go, oh, we've got this really difficult role. So what we're going to do is we're going to get loads of agencies on it just so we give ourselves loads of chances of filling the role. Now, counterintuitively, I think we can all agree that that doesn't necessarily get them what they need. The difference between, I'll start with exclusive and multi-agency contingency PSLs, is that as soon as you send the role out to more than one agency as a client, you start the pistol of sales. Okay, so no longer is it about consultancy and being able to take the time to thoroughly vet a long list of, say, 50 candidates and send the best 5. It's simply a race. It's a race. You are there to, as quickly as you possibly can, speak to as many candidates as you possibly can, send them the ones that you think are pretty good, because if you don't send them, somebody else will. You haven't got the luxury of doing a deep dive discovery on whether this person is a great hire for the client, whether they've got the technical skill sets they need to fit the role. But how often do we tell the client the difference? You know, they think, oh, well, if I get loads of agencies on, I've got a much better chance. Actually, probably haven't. You've got a much better chance of getting 30, 40, 50 CVs in your inbox, which right now is causing major problems with lots of candidates coming onto the marketplace and speculatively sticking their CV into every job that you can. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a good hire. So I think the more that we can talk about the differences between what it means with your clients giving you the role exclusively, what that means is, and it might be just for 2 weeks, it means that I can take the time to thoroughly vet, spend an hour on the phone call or Teams call with each of the candidates, and so I'll send you the top 5 at the end of the week, having spoken to 50 people, and I'll send you a little report that shows you what I have done in that time period. Okay, so there's a real opportunity to highlight the difference. And like I said, the client often doesn't know what we do. And asking around both with other people in the industry, suppliers in the industry and clients, how many times are clients being given reports on the empiric data that we're going through? You know, even if you're working on a multi-agency PSL basis, how many times are we actually sending them a report at the end of the week saying, I've spoken to 40 people, I've rejected 25, 10 people said no, I've sent you 5, what do you think? Okay, and if we can start doing that, then we give ourselves a much better chance to win advocacy within the client, entrench ourselves, win more exclusive business potentially, win more engaged business. And the engaged model is a step beyond the exclusive model. Basically, the client's paying you up front. Why would they do that? And the answer is partnership. Just as you would pay a marketing company up front to do an absolute slam dunk job on building you a new website, so you would expect to pay a recruitment company up front if you want them to do an absolute slam dunk job on finding you a hire. But again, I think we struggle sometimes to verbalize the difference between an engaged search and exclusive search and what they get for that. So I'm very happy to share with you if you need it offline. And we've actually come up with a visualization aid for clients that shows them the difference between contingency, exclusive, and engaged. Okay, and the difference in what they get, not about what we get, what they get. And what we liken it to is essentially you can fly to New York, you can fly cattle class, you can fly business class, or you can fly first class. You decide. And by the way, the price is the same. And you might already be thinking, oh my God, what are you saying? You've just done an engaged search and the price is the same. Well, yeah, because we do 100% placement on engaged search. So for me as a business leader, I'd much rather my consultants worked on 3 engaged searches where they know they're going to 100% place those and they've been paid up front, than working on 15 multi-agency PSL searches. And the industry average in success rate for multi-agency PSLs about 19% at the moment. Okay, so it's a bun fight. So what do I want? I want the engaged work. Why am I going to charge the client any more for that? I shouldn't need to. So actually, when we're talking about not selling, just asking, what we're talking about is essentially showing the differences between what a multi-agency PSL bun fight does for the brand and the search for the client versus an exclusive, maybe for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you want to agree with your clients. It gives them a caveat to go out to other suppliers if we're not supplying, and what that changes at our end and our ability to do our job much more effectively for them, which is the whole point of the whole thing. We want to be able to do a great job for you because we want to make a placement. Okay, and then if you really want to go deep, we can do an engaged search, and that means we can add in even more opportunities. We can do psychometric testing, salary verification, we can write the job description, we can manage the interviews, whatever that looks like. But again, if we can highlight the difference as recruiters around what we actually do with our clients and back that up with data, then I think we have a much better chance to win work that's valuable, that is on a partnership level rather than just on a transactional level, and that shows that recruitment can be so much more than just about putting bums on seats and filling the numbers, and we can really excel as suppliers. So very quick whistle stop tour. If anybody wants to grab me afterwards, I can send you over this is not rocket science, and I'm very happy to send you over our collateral about how we win more engaged and exclusive engagements. And I'd say since we went live with this at the start of this year, our exclusive business is up at least 300-400%. I mean, it's crazy how it works, because it's about, especially with clients you've already got great relationships with, you're giving them a better service and it costs them no more money. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. So I hope that's been enlightening. We'll get on to the cyber stuff now, I guess, with Dan. Much more interesting. But thrilled to be here with CERIS today and supporting what I know is a fantastic movement that Dan and Pete have been spearheading. And I hope that's been useful in the meantime. Dan, do you want to jump back in, mate?
Lovely. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you, Dan.
Here we go. Thank you very much, Chris. That's very good. I'll be definitely interested in your collateral. Yeah, it looks very interesting, and it's something that's we're very passionate on as well. So good to see. So yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm Dan Hathaway. I work for a company called Secure Source. For my sins, I've been working within cybersecurity for a couple of decades now, and yeah, placing lots of weird and wonderful people in weird and wonderful places. And we realized quite a while ago that the industry needed something that underpinned it in the same way as all of the regulatory bodies that underpin cybersecurity. So we went about trying to form something that had teeth and structure, and we came up with CERIS. So as you can see, we're a membership organization designed to assist those that are buying and providing cybersecurity services, and we act as a professional body, and our members can confidentially offer their services to clients in the knowledge that they're always working to a good code, and conduct their operations with all the consideration and compliance needed. So the origins of CERIS, probably not covered on this slide. There was a lot of meetings and a lot of head scratching and a lot of people around a very large round table. But yeah, we realised, as I mentioned, that there was a huge amount of cybersecurity recruiters, and that the only general qualification for being a cybersecurity recruiter was owning a mobile phone and a laptop. And we wanted to try and make that a little bit more regulated, and professionalize the service. So yeah, a lot of the feedback that we were getting from clients, where they were concerned about the various different levels of quality, there wasn't any benchmarks. So this is where we came in to try and build out the capability within the ethical recruitment industry. Yeah, I've just touched on this, but we work in in a market that is super secure inherently. One week we might be placing somebody that's the cybersecurity operations person at Candy Crush. Next week we might be placing somebody that's a cybersecurity person in a Listec site that is highly cleared. So we deal with a lot of very, very sensitive data, and that data needs to be looked after and underpinned by something else. So but we obviously work in a market where we have to find people that hold certifications, but there are no certifications really purely on the cybersecurity recruitment side. So we wanted to again address that, and we had a lot of feedback from clients and candidates that were conscious of the privacy element, and wanted to work with recruiters that shared those values as well. So here's a medley of certs and bodies and whatnot. As you can see, this I could have done 30 slides for this and the rest. But as you can see, I mean, there are lots and lots of qualifications. There are lots of bodies. It is a very mature market that we work in. So you can pick that up and put it in any other country in the world, and there would also be some of the same, but also different ones. The common denominator is that there are lots of qualifications within cybersecurity. There are not so many within recruitment. So you have the usual suspects, and a lot of the usual suspects are very good and very fit for purpose. So you've got Rec, APSCO, to maybe a slightly lesser extent Bio. But within the cybersecurity market, we don't really see the proliferation of that type of body that is underpinning what clients and candidates and recruiters are looking for. So what are our goals? We look essentially when we started this, we wanted to create a strong benchmark for quality for recruiters. We wanted to act as a trusted marketplace, so somewhere that anyone could go for services to be exchanged, to very much be a focal point for the industry, to provide services relevant to the sector, such as training, development, education, etc. Help be instrumental in the actual growth of the market, and act as a platform which provided real-time access to the cybersecurity candidate marketplace. So what's in it for you guys? So that's $1 million question. So it's good to talk about the clients, it's good to talk about the candidates, but obviously there has to be a win for the recruiters as well, and we were very mindful of addressing that, as we're all recruiters ourselves. So the key points, and there are a lot more, but key points of being informed. So we were very mindful of attaching ourselves to relevant bodies that will be able to give us the inside track with what was happening maybe before those developments have been announced. So we are fed quality information from trusted sources. You're able to, from an ethical standpoint, you're also able to achieve recognition and validation for your practices without just saying we're good and we do things right, actually having that underpinned and validated. And also to be able to develop yourself within the CERIS individual certification scheme. So being able to gain individual qualifications within the wider platform. So here's a few parts to the package. Again, probably more steered towards recruiters. You can read through these, but some of them include things like, you get to use all of the branding. You're listed on the site. We are in the process of building out a certified CERIS recruiter badge, which will be included on your LinkedIn profile, which again employers can look for. you have the opportunity to support and represent CERIS at public and private events. So, you know, we're one of the only guys that have been to things like CREST. And, you know, there are other slightly more real benefits which can be taken upstream to management in terms of things like free job postings, which will probably be covered later. In terms of candidates, the feedback has been wholly positive. So candidates that are looking don't want to deal with 20 recruiters. They want to deal with one, maybe two. And they want to deal with people that know their market. How do they know that you know the market if everybody says, I know the market? Well, this is, again, a very, you know, quick and easy way for them to be able to go to a trusted list. From that list, they can make their own decision on who they get on best with, whether that's, you know, myself or Pete or Chris. You know, that's more about personality and fit, and also maybe sector. But in terms of the trusted element, what we're looking for, you know, what they're looking for is somebody that they can hang their hat on. So it gives them complete confidence that their data is secure, and they get a good go-to list of recruiters. Also, just in terms of signposting, there are a lot of junior candidates out there that, whilst, you know, we always want to help everybody, sometimes we won't have a role for. But what we can do is signpost them to people that can help, and that's part of being a CERIS member, is to be able to actually, you know, assist people where we cannot help, point them in the right direction of people that can, whether that be for training or other recruiters or certs, etc. The client benefit side, quite similar to candidates in a way. I mean, hiring managers are busy. HR and recruitment departments are busy, so they just want to deal with somebody that can deliver. Being someone that can deliver is great, but how do they know that they know their market? Well, you know, having a CERIS rubber stamp goes a long way to helping with that. It's obviously not, you don't need to be CERIS to know your market, but it shows that you do. So, you know, it helps with their supply chain. Again, you're dealing with cybersecurity companies. They want to know that you've got a minimum baseline in terms of your cyber essentials, etc. Helps them with their capability. You know, we can advise generally with market trends and conditions, etc. There are teeth to it in terms of recourse, so it's backed by CREST. And as mentioned before, a CERIS recruiter will be given access to market information that others simply aren't, because they're being briefed by people like CREST. So that's a snapshot of some of our members. I'm not sure if there's one or two extra to be adding on soon, but yeah, there are our current members, and yeah, we've got quite a lot of interest in growing that out. And here are a few of our partners. So some of these are have been massively important. Plug to CREST. But we've got people there like Hacker Young that have supported us in terms of our accountancy, and people like Cybersecurity Job Site, which many of you will be familiar with, have also supported us in terms of adding resource and additional capability. And that's it from me. Yeah, I'll pass over to whoever's next. I think it might be Sam, but or is it Pete? Is it you, Pete? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, Dan. Yeah, it's fantastic. So just wanted to recap really on a lot of the benefits of being a member. We talk about that sort of industry knowledge, that, you know, having access to things that others don't. So some of you may have seen it as part of our recent updates on LinkedIn, and if you're not following us on LinkedIn, please do. But you know, we've recently been partnering with the new Cybersecurity Council. So if you're not aware of the new Cybersecurity Council, that's the new body that's being currently put together by a number of different organisations. they completely recognise that that recruiters are part of the cybersecurity ecosystem. We play a fundamental part in this industry. So it's first of all, it's fantastic to be recognised in that way, and secondly, we have been asked to partner with them, and a couple of our members have already done some document reviews for them. We're providing them with data insight in terms of job role profiles, salary information, all of that sort of stuff, and we're working with them to be part of the new Cybersecurity Council as well. So that's really exciting for us, and will be a huge differentiator for us and our members. We've talked a lot about through some of those, but business development credibility. Having done this for more years than I care to remember, everyone's a specialist, everyone's an expert, everyone's got great candidates, everyone's been doing this for years and years, and more years than they care to remember as well. Some are new to the market, and it's really hard to enter into the security market as a recruiter and be different and be credible. So it does provide that extra bit of differentiator, if you like. CREST is obviously supported us from the start and backing us, and you'll see what they do for us. It is a CREST back scheme. I know how recruiters work, and I've worked for many recruitment companies, and I've had lots of recruiters work for me. Everyone's competitive, everyone wants to, no one wants to share their information. So it's really important to us that we had, an independent verifier. So CREST do all of this in the background for us, and you'll see what they do in a moment. Cybersecurity job site provide us with unlimited job postings. So if you're a CERIS member, then you get free unlimited job postings on their website. That's a huge saving in itself for those of you using it. If you don't use it, it's probably because of cost, because they can be quite expensive. We run regular events. We're invited to regular events, and we always share out the desk space, through our memberships, and ask them to attend these. Not everyone can, and we try and move it around as much as possible. Personally, I've won new business just from being on the stand. So the branding is being updated. There's a membership certificate which you can have on your obviously in your offices or on your websites, and there's branding to go on your LinkedIn profiles. And there is lots of new developments coming through. So this is the first of a series of update webinars to give you insight into the market about the latest topics, what people are talking about, to keep you up to date. We know you're busy, so things like this are invaluable. We were doing a roadshow, but obviously COVID put a stop to that. Helping you, on your businesses. For those of you that might be in, business owners or working for smaller organisations, it's hard to differentiate. So being able to differentiate from a security perspective, Cyber Essentials, we have membership partners, or partner companies that help our members, with discounted Cyber Essentials Plus, ISO, all of the required standards. We talked about the individual certificate. So actually having, if you know the CREST model, then you'll know you have a membership organisation, and then you have certified individuals within that, whether it be pen testers, threat intelligence analysts. We are developing that similar model. So you'll have a membership organisation, then you'll have, you might have a GRC specialist, a pen test, threat and vulnerability, etc., etc. So that we're having that scheme being developed as we speak. Remember, the cost of doing that is there, and it's on our website as well. So these slides will be shared out, so you can see. We've created a tiered system to support, the smaller businesses, and and obviously to cover the costs of the larger businesses as well. So we've created a model that reflects that. The administration fee, just for full transparency, that is paid to CREST, and you'll see why, because they do all of the administration for your membership. So they do all of your certificate updates, they check all of your documents, do the referencing, all of those things in the background. So it's a small fee really for what they do. And there's an annual membership fee, and that's to maintain the cost of your membership and keep CERIS moving forward, so that we're able to provide you with all of those things that we've talked about. It's Black Friday, so we are, if you're on this call, and we are doing a discount for 20% off membership fees for Black Friday. So you just need to quote this webinar if you are interested in applying, and that will come off your membership fee, not the administration fee. And over to Sam.
Perfect, thank you, Pete.
Hi everybody, I'm Samantha Alexander. I'm the Principal Accreditor here at CREST. So what that means is I look after the accreditation arm within CREST, so all the company accreditations for all the relevant different schemes and disciplines that we look after. So the main one I'm going to be talking about today is CERIS. So we're going to be talking through the application process and talking you through some of the requirements that we look for. So here on this screen, you can see on the right-hand side is the picture that demonstrates the application process. So the first element is NDA. So you would email us at the email address that's on screen now. We would then produce an NDA. Once that's signed, you would then have access to our online membership platform. We'll be going through these steps over the next couple of slides in a bit more detail. So the application portal. So CREST has an application portal. So it's an online system where you would log in, have access to all the application forms, all the requirements for CERIS. You'd fill them in. You can do it individually or as a group. So if there's a couple of you that are needing to have access to the same application form, you can do this via our online portal. Again, please email us and we can talk you through the entire process. So the CERIS application form. So all requirements can be found on our membership portal. So again, when you log in, the first thing you need to do is select CERIS. You'll then be redirected to the screen where you'll see all the requirements listed out very similarly to how they are on the right-hand side of this screen. So the form opens up with the organisation details. Oh, sorry, Debbie, I paused a bit too long. So the form opens up with company details. So it very much looks at you as a recruiter, so as a company. So we look for insurances, we look for office locations, we look for all of it around your company. We then also look for your policies, processes and methodologies for providing the service that you do. As Pete says, we also ask the client and candidate references. So details will need to be uploaded for those, and then CREST will seek references on CERIS's behalf. So after submission, so once you've submitted your application to us, as Pete says, there is an application fee that will become payable, but CREST will then do the independent verification of all the applications that come through. So we review all the detail that's submitted to us against the criteria that has been set. So except where otherwise identified, all information will only be shared between CREST accreditation team staff and CERIS. So weightings are applied to all the answers. So we mark in a way of majors and minors. I never see any accreditation that CREST looks after as a pass-fail. It's more a you either pass or you have some feedback for improvement. So here you'll see we mark things as majors and minors. So we don't allow any majors and we allow up to 3 minors to become approved. And again, what we do once we have reviewed the application is we will come back to you with full feedback of the areas that don't quite meet the criteria. And we work with you to be able to hit that and resubmit your application to us. Membership fees, so Pete has already gone through this, so again, I won't go through it in too much detail, but it very much is tailored to the size of the business that you are. So again, we're making sure that you're aware of this prior to the application process, so you can ensure that this is fit for purpose and works for you, and that you're aware of any costs before you start that application process. Annual renewal, so we don't just do one application. We want to make sure that you as a business are keeping up with everything that you should be. Your policies, processes, methodologies are being updated to meet industry needs. So what we do is we do an annual renewal. So at least 2 months prior to your renewal date, you'll be contacted by someone within the accreditation team at CREST. And again, the renewal will need to be completed on the membership portal. So again, what you'll have to do, there'll be a CERIS renewal application form. You'll need to complete all of that, re-sign the CERIS Code of Conduct, and then submit that. And it goes through the same process again, where the accreditation team will review that in detail. We'll come back to you with any feedback that's required, and we will work with you until you meet those requirements. The requirements for CERIS is reviewed regularly. So we make sure that the requirements that we're asking for within the application form is up to date and is meeting all your client's requirements. So as something does change, it may be that we need to communicate out to you this for additional, whether it's policies, processes, methodologies, or additional requirements to keep up with the CERIS standard. So that was a very brief overview of the application process that CREST looks after for CERIS. I'm now briefly going to move over onto something else that CREST is working on, and this is the Cybersecurity Maturity Assessment for Global Ecosystems. So just over a year ago, CREST received a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to help increase cybersecurity capacity in Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. So you can see that's various parts of Africa and also Southeast Asia. So we received the funding just over a year ago. What we have been doing is conducting some research, but the whole reason of this grant is, as it says, to help increase cybersecurity capacity. So we've been investigating and looking at the ecosystems that are in place. And as Pete says, we very much identify recruitment as being part of that ecosystem that needs to be identified in all these countries to help drive cybersecurity. So just giving you a brief overview of the projects that we're doing with the foundation. So we started off with the maturity model assessment. So here we've done some qualitative and some quantitative analysis. We've been working with various stakeholders on this. So over the last year, we've actually been conducting very thorough internet-based research, identifying, you'll see on the next screen, all the relevant different areas within an ecosystem and who's providing all those services and policies within country. The next step that we're looking at is extracting all the good practice. So as you can imagine, we have lots of information we've gathered over those 8 countries. And what we're now doing is extracting that good practice and creating development pathways. So we're looking at those improvement areas that have been identified. So we've scored each of the countries in each of the different areas. And what we're now doing is creating those development pathways and the common good guidance to be able to help each country develop in the areas that they need to. Now, we're not looking at reinventing the wheel. We're hoping to, or we are working and collaborating with existing initiatives. So we are also looking at what is already out there. What is the government doing? What policies and strategies are in place that CREST could assist with or collaborate with to help push this through and help drive that ecosystem. The last step here is building in-country resource. So what we're looking at doing is recruiting some in-country resource to help us on the ground, to help facilitate some of those conversations with key stakeholders, because obviously due to the current restrictions, CREST hasn't been able to attend or do any face-to-face meetings, but we very much have been doing lots of virtual workshops, lots of virtual meetings to try and drive this through. So this is what I was just talking about on the previous screen. So these are the headings for the research that we have conducted. And as you can see in section 4, you'll see there it says specialist recruitment. Now, these numbers don't mean anything, so please don't think this actually are the real numbers for any of the particular countries. These have just been put in here to identify and show you some of the possibilities. So at the top is the qualitative assessments, and you can see the various different indicators that we have identified. So starting at the top, we've been looking for, as I said, government strategies and policies. We've also been looking at law enforcement and cyber defence capabilities in each of the countries. We've then been looking at certs and information sharing. Then on to the service providers. So we've also been looking at who can provide these services in country. So they could either be an in-country provider, so only have an office in that country. There could be a regional provider, or they could be an international provider that doesn't have an office in the country, but can provide remote services to that country. And again, this is looking at some of the CREST disciplines that we identify here. So threat intelligence, vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, security operations centres, and incident response providers. Then looking into professional development. So again, what we've been looking at here is academia and higher education. So what universities are in each of these countries, what cybersecurity courses or content are they providing? We have identified quite a number and quite a range, from all sorts of engineering to cybersecurity specific to actually some very individual courses that have some kind of cybersecurity content detail within them. We then look at training providers. So again, whether it's e-learning, whether it's online, whether it's classroom-based, or whether it is lab-based, we've been identifying all these training providers that advertise and can provide training to some type of cybersecurity, technical security within these countries. Then moving on to professional certifications. So as Dan was mentioning, there is lots of different certifications identified globally. But what we've specifically been looking at is, what is requested? What are some of these service providers requesting when they are recruiting these new staff members? What are they actually asking for? What is most recognised within country so that we can work on those and develop? Then moving to professional cyber membership organisations. So again, you've got your ISACAs and relevant other member organisations there. that we've been looking at if they have an active chapter and some of the activities they're actually doing within country. Then we come to specialist recruitment. So again, this is specifically looking for CERIS-like activities. So, you know, is there any specific recruiters that offer cybersecurity recruitment in each of these countries? And then finally, to finish off the qualitative assessment, we've also been identifying all events and exhibitions that take place. Again, anything that has a cybersecurity, technical security has been identified here. And again, which markets they specialise in. We've been identifying any of the international events if they actually take place in country. And then the last thing we did was the banking sector cybersecurity posture. And again, we've done banking sector, but we are able to do this risk score for any particular industry globally. But what it was it's a passive external assessment of public-facing IT infrastructure. We sampled, for example, up to 100 banks from each of the countries, looking for email authentication measures, breach credentials, internet-facing databases, known software vulnerabilities, and then we did a risk score and a threat score from all of this. So we've also done that, and we also have the capability to be able to deliver that. Move to the next one. So all of our qualitative assessments, all those dimensions are based upon a 5-level maturity model structure. So level 1 is emerging, level 2 is transitional, level 3 is organised, level 4 is dynamic, and level 5 is leading. So what we've done for each one of those dimensions, so each one of those topics we just talked through, each one of them was given a score of a 1 to 5. And then each of those also have a relevant definition. So you can see here some of the wording that we use for each of those 5 maturity levels. So benefits to all. So we see driving this cybersecurity ecosystem definitely benefits absolutely everybody that we've identified within that SAMARGE maturity assessment. So from recruitment to academia to service providers to governments, regulators and other key stakeholders. So that's through consistent, repeatable, quantitative and quantitative key performance indicators. So what we can do is we've run this. What we plan on doing is over the next 12 to 18 months is going into each country, helping them develop their own improvement areas. So identifying where their weaknesses are, helping them identify what they need to do to drive in those particular areas. And then we can repeat this exercise in 12, 18 months, 2 to 3 years. We can repeat this exercise to see how much improvement has actually happened within each country. So we can identify which improvement areas has the biggest impact to the country. So the ability to focus initiatives on activities making a tangible difference and ability to measure progress. So again, that's very similar to what I was just saying, is again, we very much will be focusing in each country to their specific needs, not just what we see on a global basis. So again, we're hoping to have funded in-country representation to support the local development activities. So we very much want to have somebody on the ground in these countries to help develop and keep the progress going for the drive of the ecosystems. And again, establishment of CREST chapters. So CREST chapters will benefit all. We work with the entire industry. So again, with our relationship with CERIS, to our relationship with governments and stakeholders, to service providers, to academia, we very much help tie everybody together within the ecosystem to help develop and improve. So I think we're now going to do some questions and answers. You're probably very sick of hearing my voice for the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Samantha, for covering everything around the CERIS application and with regards to obviously the ecosystem project, which I'm sure everybody found very interesting. So it is your chance to ask any questions of any of the presenters today. So Dan, Pete and Chris, I don't know if you'd like to put your camera back on, just so that you make yourself accessible for everybody to ask those questions. So if have any of the attendees got any questions that they would want to ask, please feel free to raise your hand and we can make sure that those questions get asked. So that's no problem. So yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it, that I suppose that we see this development really, and probably one of the questions that I'd probably like to ask Pete, Dan and Chris at the moment is Have you seen a significant effect on how COVID has affected the recruitment business at the moment? And obviously, you know, being part of CERIS and being part of that organisation, has that kind of helped you altogether to go through some of the challenges that you faced in COVID? So I don't know if anybody would like to take that question.
I'll start. Yeah, I don't mind. Recruitment's always the first thing to go in a downturn, right? It's the one of the quickest ways for organisations to control spend and, you know, and make savings, and yeah, whether that's making redundancies or obviously hiring on new people. So, you know, I think the initial phase was everyone just went, right, this is just going to be a small blip, and you know, we'll get through it. So, and then there was the panic set in, and you know, then supply chains started getting affected, and their clients were getting affected, and then it started to come to if you like, a crunch point. So it enabled us to, as an organisation, for sure, I'm just talking personally, it enabled us to just take some time to review what's going on and look at opportunities to diversify and, you know, do the things that we hadn't done when you're in the full throw of recruitment. And you know, we have seen the emergence of new markets for us. You know, certainly, you know, being a member of CERIS has helped us to open up into new markets, more regulated environments, you know, more controlled environments where they do look for these sorts of things. And, you know, it's enabled us to really forge on that relationship side, which is, you know, what Chris talked about earlier. You know, it's really, you know, drilling down into those relationships and you know, looking after what's important in this time. You know, it's enabled us to actually have better conversations, you know, as opposed to here's a job, get on with it. It's enabled us to actually go and talk to them and understand what their challenges are, what problems are they facing in this situation, and helped us, you know, helped us to help our clients in lots of occasions. So, you know, it's been a roller coaster of a ride. You know, there's been lots of positives, but, you know, lots of negatives, and right now one isn't outweighing the other. We've got that sort of perfect balance of, you know, some clients aren't recruiting, some clients are. So we are starting to see lots of green shoots now of opportunity, which is fantastic. So, you know, we're starting to see clients now being more optimistic, you know, with the emergence of a vaccine, and people are starting to push things out into the new year, saying, you know, new year is going to be, you know, the one for us. So, you know, the pipeline is starting to build and become really, really strong again. So yeah, it's affected us in lots of ways, in perhaps areas that we didn't necessarily realise where we might have been vulnerable, but it's galvanised those other areas for us in other parts of our business as well.
Yeah, just to follow on, I mean, Pete and I were having this chat actually beforehand. I think we've gone in different directions. So Pete and those guys did a lot of diversification, and we probably did a lot more international than we've ever really done. So for us, the UK was very quiet around March, April, May. I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of the majority of companies weren't thinking about growth; they were thinking about survival initially. And survival, you naturally go into fight or flight mode, and you're locking, not a pun, but locking down what you've got, rather than you know, thinking about growth and next steps, etc. I think positive wise, we got to have a lot of deep and meaningful conversations with candidates that are usually locked in secure bunkers and are non-contactable for large swathes of the day. So we had a lot of good chats. I think real conversations is what I would take away from it. So, you know, whilst from a revenue generation perspective, we weren't putting bums on seats. What we were doing was forging deeper relationships, I think, during that process. So, you know, our mindset was that we come out stronger and have better relationships. But I definitely think from our side, we've been able to working in other countries and working with new clients that we've never worked with in places that have different appetites and are at different stages of lockdown than the UK has been very good for us.
I think that's really interesting, Dan. So just to follow up, so what's happening in recruitment right now? Well, it's a recession, and there's a pandemic, and recruitment companies are panicking and going into ultra sales mode. Okay, so we've had a very good year, and we haven't really done anything different. We've had three phoning new clients this week, and that's just about networking and consistency of message and adding value. So I think there's an opportunity right now. The best companies in the world, a lot of them have come out of recessions, and if we know that recruitment companies are going into ultra sales mode, if we're going to differentiate ourselves, and part of the whole value of CERIS is differentiating yourselves, empirically demonstrating you're committed to the cybersecurity industry, and you're not just calling up and going, hello, got a job, or speccing 200 CVs. I mean, we've just hired a lad who's joined us from a recruitment company, and their model was to move from speccing 100 CVs a week to people who hadn't heard of them to speccing 200 CVs a week. That's how they're getting through the pandemic and the recession. You got to go, like anybody looking at that as an outsider, as a business model, it's kind of, yeah, it could work, but why are we doing that in recruitment? This is a great opportunity for us to question what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if we know that recruitment is all about cranking up the volume right now, what can we do to add value? What can we do, as Dan and Pete says, to look at our relationships and what we actually do day to day and empirically show to our clients how we are valuable to them? Because it's not really about us, it's about what the client wants, what they need. And right now, technology and cybersecurity are underpinning the foundations of pretty much any business, because everybody's had to go to the cloud. Everybody's had to spin up Citrix and all sorts of other solutions to get them, working 80% remotely. So, and security is hot on the back. I think it's still a bit of an afterthought for the most part of technology, but it's hot on the back. So we are incredibly fortunate to be in a position where we're seeing growth, whilst other industries, hospitality, teaching, others, are in the doldrums. I mean, it's terrible, but this is an opportunity as well. And I think being a member of CREST and the community demonstrates that you aren't just a cold calling, CV speccing recruitment machine that is not about value and relationships. It shows we take this seriously. We want to get involved. We support the cybersecurity industry from a recruitment point of view. We want to work ethically. So it demonstrates more than just the badges. It's a values, it's a community thing. And what excites me about CREST is building on that. So, I think it's been a crappy year. That's a long way of answering you, Sam. I'm sorry, but it's seriously, we've got an opportunity right now, and it's okay to take that opportunity as well, because that opportunity is based on adding value, and that's cool too.
And one last thing to say. I mean, we've also we've also been banging the drum to a lot of our clients that are cash rich and are sort of sitting on that and waiting, that there will never be a better time to get talent than there is now in terms of your competition levels. We've taken the leap out of that, but we've hired someone during lockdown because they were too good not to be hiring. And I think that there is massive opportunity in disaster, in the sense that, if you're going to be looking for these people, if you're VC funded and you've got that money and you've got to spend it by a certain time, then go out and get better talent than you would have got, because that is definitely the situation at the moment as well.
Yeah, I think to add to that further is that there are lots of candidates in the market, as you rightly said, and you only have to look at the applications on LinkedIn. 30, 40, 50. If you're CISOs, 200 applications. They don't have to actually use a recruiter at the moment, because there's so many people out there looking for jobs, or looking to move out of a company that's perhaps treated them badly during lockdown, or during furlough, or whatever it looks like. So there's lots of people out there that are reevaluating their situations and can proactively go and get a job themselves. Okay, especially in the security domain, where they're hot property. If a security job is being put out there by a company, it's very likely they could fill it themselves, right now. I mean, momentarily we've shifted towards a client-driven market. I think that will shift back again to a candidate-driven market, perhaps middle of next year. But right now, how do you differentiate? You know, to say that you've got candidates is not a differentiator. You know, it's like, well, you're a recruitment company, you should have candidates, but how do you differentiate, and what additional services can you add, you know, to your clients, you know, saving them time, money, resources, you know, genuinely getting them the best candidate. Best candidate doesn't mean necessarily the person that, you know, has got all of the skills and the certifications. It could be culturally matched. It could be, you know, could have actually found someone who's cheaper for them. You know, all of these things, these are additional things that, you know, as a consultant, a recruitment consultant, you know, these are the things you should be advising on. So not just filling a job, which, you know, I know that's the one that pays the bills. And, you know, part of the challenge that we've had is that, you know, organisations, if any of you are individual recruiters on here, you know, your MDs will say, well, you know, where's my return on the investment? Where's my additional, you know, is it going to put, you know, help you hit your target this year? All of those things, you know, these are all things that I would ask, you know, for my consultants. But ultimately, what I want, and, you know, why we started on this point, is that I want better clients. I want better clients that want to work with us, you know, not just want to fill a job, because it's short-termism in my opinion. So, you know, there is that moment in time, is that, you know, when you come out of this, you know, I hate to say it, but if you haven't forged your relationships during this period and going into the new period, you know, next year, this sort of post-pandemic, then you are going to struggle, because people are going to remember what you did for them before and what you're doing for them now. You know, to all of a sudden, just because the jobs start coming live again, and all of a sudden the recruiters start jumping on top of them, you know, you're already going to be behind the curve, you know, in my opinion.
I think we've seen the best and the worst of clients during this time. I mean, without doubt, you've seen the best and the worst, and candidates and recruiters, and it'll all be remembered. It will all come out in the wash. You know, the companies that immediately knee-jerked and laid off loads of people for no reason other than the fact that they panicked.
Yeah.
You know, that will be remembered by a lot of candidates. And yeah, those conversations, I couldn't agree more, Pete, in terms of the conversations that you've had over the last 6 months and can still have for the next week and 2 days during lockdown. You know, will potentially form the backbone of next year, which I think 2021 will be, in my opinion, the biggest year for cybersecurity growth that we've seen. I mean, year on year, it's always bigger, but next year, pent-up aggression, you've got, you know, budgets dropping for cyber, you know, with Boris announcing and stuff, and all of the just tech revolution that's generally going on with you know, security supposedly being built into all of it. It's going to be a very, very big year in 2021, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Have we had any questions, Debbie, or not?
No, so we've had one other question. This one's for you, Sam, now. Over to you. So how can people get involved with the CREST and Samaj project? And excuse my dog, sorry, the doorbell's just gone off.
No worries, thank you, Debbie. Absolutely. So as I said, we're looking at getting involved with every type of stakeholder within the ecosystem. So recruitment is 100% in there. So again, what we're looking at doing over the next 12 to 18 months is helping drive some of the improvement plans, some of the improvement ideas in each of those countries. So my main plea would be, you know, if anyone is interested in working any of the 8 countries that CREST is working on as part of the Gates Foundation project, or is already working in those countries, you know, please feel free to reach out to the CREST team. We're more than happy, you know, for you to work with us on any of our workshops, on any of the development plans we're working on specifically around recruitment in any of those countries. So absolutely, we are wanting to speak to anybody that has an interest in them or would like to work with us on them. So yes, just get in contact with us and you'll be part of the team.
Cool.
Thank you very much. I've now got a quiet dog, so that's all good. So thank you for that. So we haven't had any other questions come in. We still have an opportunity if you do wish to ask any questions, but I'm going to introduce Ali Andrews in a second, who will just cover with regards to the work that CREST and as Pete mentioned right at the beginning, that CERIS has got involved with on diversity and inclusion. So just if I hand over to Ali Andrews, hopefully that'll all work. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm going to say a few things about the work we've been doing on diversity. So last year as some of you may have come to our Access to Cybersecurity Day that we did, and we produced 4 reports, one looking at how to encourage more women into security, one looking at stress and burnout, and one looking at neurodiversity in the technical security industry, and one looking at physical disability. And I can send around links to these to people. Then Access to Cybersecurity Day was due to go ahead in July this year, and for obvious reasons, I'm not going to mention the word because I'm sure it's already been brought up a few times today. To look at progress, it was due to go ahead in July, and it was going to look at progress made on actions in the report and any updates needed to the reports, and importantly, how we can better work together collaboratively to make progress with actions. Obviously, we decided to run them as a series of days instead, with webinars and workshops. A lot of those have gone ahead during the year, and I can send out links to webinars and let people know about progress to those. We are at the moment in the process of forming a single working group to bring together all of the work in a more cohesive way. We realised there was a lot of synergy in the work. Each one of the pockets of work that was going on needed a working group, and we were going to set each of these up, but it became clear that what was really needed was a single diversity and inclusion group that could look at the whole picture. We'll be going out really shortly for volunteers to join this group and take forward many of the actions from the reports to help drive diversity and inclusion in the CREST community. So if anybody is interested in joining this, could they let me know? But I will be going out as well. Obviously, as everybody knows, I'm probably preaching to the converted here. The case for improving diversity and inclusion in the cybersecurity industry is really clear. It's not just because of the skills gap. There's a lot of evidence that shows diversity in cybersecurity gives commercial advantages, such as better business performance, increased creativity and innovation. It'll also provide greater employee satisfaction and talent retention. We also obviously have a moral and legal responsibility to treat people with respect and deliver equal opportunities. Well, obviously, I will, as I said, go out and send links around to all of the reports that we've done, and obviously get in touch with me if anybody's interested in getting involved. That's it. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Ali.
Can I jump in there, Sam, very quickly? While we've got a captured audience of recruiters.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is right in my wheelhouse at the moment, because diversity and inclusion, I think as recruiters, the impact that we can have as recruitment consultants in the diversity and inclusion remit with our clients hiring is profound. Okay. And Ali, I'd absolutely like to stick my hand up and say, yes, please, I'd love to get involved and support that as we can. Because everybody, when they ask, do they agree that we need to address diversity and inclusion, they go, uh-huh. And then you go, right, what are we going to do about it? Well, we'll have some groups and we'll talk about it, and that's great. As recruiters, and this is something we are now doing at InfoSec with every single search that we have, we are asking the questions of our clients, what is your diversity and inclusion agenda within your company? How many people, what are we aiming for on the shortlist that we're going to be sending to you? How many of those need to be diverse candidates? Okay, so it's now we are asking them, what are they doing to address the problem, and also things like what are they doing internally to create environments that not just hiring diverse candidates but retaining them and seeing their career path developing. Okay, what are they doing to do that? So we're asking those questions as part of the vetting process for clients as standard. Okay, so it's taking it from passively supporting diversity and inclusion to actively promoting the conversation around it, which is different. It's also a fantastic opportunity for us. We've all talked about it in cybersecurity. All the people that all the hiring managers are very risk averse and they love mastery. Give me CISM, CISA, XYZ certification, and I'll hire them tomorrow. But if we're saying that diverse candidates have always been have had less of an opportunity through bias, conscious and otherwise, then and we know that that is true, clients, companies have to address that balance by saying, I'm relaxing the criteria, the baseline criteria of what good looks like in terms of getting people into the workforce. Okay, and we need to push that. And I'm sorry to jump in here, but it's something I'm very, very passionate about. I've got family members who are neurodiverse. I've seen, I've got, there are various things that affect me personally that I think make this a bit of a personal crusade. But I think if we as recruiters can take a moral and ethical stand to not just passively go, oh yes, we'll definitely try and send you some diverse candidates, but actually take it upon ourselves to drive client behaviour, then we can have a profound impact on this industry for the better. And there's nothing better for the soul. Yeah, okay, great, we're all here to make money and run businesses, fantastic, but what an opportunity. So I'm in.
Yeah, no, absolutely, thank you. And I think that's the point. It's not, that's what I was trying to say, it's not just the right thing to do, it's actually, for cybersecurity in particular, it's actually good for your business. So, and I think that's the message that you really need to get across. It's absolutely the right thing to do for your business, as well as being the good thing to do. It actually is an absolute no-brainer. You absolutely have to do it. And
just to, this is where, again, I know this feels like a sales pitch, but it really isn't. It's where CERIS can help, and actually demonstrate that, because you know what, and Chris, what you're talking about is fantastic, and like you, I have neurodiverse family, it's something that's close to my heart, and I'm actually part of lots of these groups and support groups, and ultimately is that everybody says yes. I mean, why not? Everyone, who doesn't want a diverse workforce? Because everyone talks about the benefits of having a diverse workforce and the benefits it brings to your business. Because when most people are business minded, in this capacity at least, is we want a better business and we want to be more, more productive, more, more profitable, etc., etc. So, if the diverse workforce can bring those things, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond just presenting, a mixture of candidates. It has to resonate through everything that you do, and that starts with the training of your individuals in the recruitment industry. All of our guys are trained on diversity and inclusion. It has to form part of that, and it's a mindset thing. Now, I think we've moved on quite significantly now, and most people are open to that sort of thing. But famously, the IBM tool, that their recruitment tool, that was AI, they're using AI products, and they had to remove that because it was proactively sourcing male candidates because of the terminology that those types of candidates using their CV. There's a whole shift change. But I think that collectively as a group, this is the thing that we can do. This is where being part of someone like CERIS that can really champion this. If we're talking about this from an industry body perspective, and the members in this organisation are committed to doing those sorts of things, then we're a much bigger force as a collective than we are as individuals, if that makes sense.
But you've hit the nail on the head there. It's about changing minds, because it's all very well getting people to do the right thing. If you don't actually really genuinely change people's minds, you haven't. You've done nothing, because you can recruit all the people in the world into the industry. They're not going to stay if you haven't actually changed people's minds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fantastic.
And I think we can also play a part in terms of signposting. I know that informally, a lot of the people around this screen will signpost people to neurodiversity events with the various people that we all collectively know, but I think that formally, in terms of CERIS, we could we can plug in a lot better, probably as a group, rather than just the sum of our parts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, we can certainly do good things. And what we're trying to do with the working group that CREST is forming for diversity and inclusivity is make sure it's not a group that sits around and sort of talks about doing stuff. With the reports, they're very focused on actions. So we're going to make sure we actually do some stuff, get some stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can. The more and more you're around like-minded individuals, the easier it becomes. your Access Day, we came to that. Work with organisations that genuinely want to recruit diverse candidates, and we've helped them recruit diverse candidates. It starts with the client ultimately, right? This is what they want to do, but just ticking a box from a shortlist perspective is not enough. I worked with a client many years ago as a leading bank, and they had a blue tick scheme, and if you ticked one of those diversity boxes, you're guaranteed an interview regardless of whether you're suitable. I just think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? Cleaners, applying for CEO jobs, or doing technical security pen testing. It's like it makes no sense. It's got to be proactive, and hiring the right people for the right reasons, using the right skills, and that's where the diversity piece comes in. Is what everyone's missing.
Yeah.
I really like the questioning. I really like the question though, Chris, that just to funnel out to all the consultants. I think that's just such a piece of low-hanging fruit that could be so easily implemented in seconds. It
is, Dan, and do you know what? Ali's quite right. For larger clients, especially, and smaller clients, but for larger clients, again, this is a top priority, and it should be. So it's great for business. You're showing instant differentiation. You're taking it seriously, and you are addressing the problem. And you're also looking at a solution, which is, if you're taking this seriously, you need to relax the criteria. If we know that candidates from a diverse background have been overlooked, so they feel they're probably not in the position of 3 years demonstrable experience against the job role, but they could do it if given the chance. So again, this is all about, just like the presentation at the start. With clients, if you ask them the right questions, they'll tell you what they should be doing. And then you don't sell anything. You just go, great, we'll relax the criteria for that SOC analyst role. Lovely, great, fantastic.
Our last meeting before lockdown was with a client in the city who proceeded to tell us that we were their top diverse recruiter, which we didn't actually know at all, because how could we? We don't know. We knew we'd placed a medley of various different people from different backgrounds. Because it's just how we generally work. But yeah, it's interesting, and that I really, that takeaway of putting that in will be something that I'll speak to the consultants about today, because I really like that.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Great, that's excellent. So thank you, all of you. We don't have any further questions. I didn't know if you wanted to pop your camera on again, Sam, so we can just say a last goodbye to everybody who's on the webinar.
I've done my bit.
Oh, you can stay on and say goodbye. Lovely, thanks, Sam. So yeah, thank you to you all today for that great presentation and that discussion session at the end as well. I think that's been really informative. As Pete said at the very beginning, and I'll reiterate, if any of you have any questions, then please feel free to email us. You will have had emails from Ali, myself, and there's the marketing at CREST approved. So please feel free to come through to us. We can always pass you directly to anybody that you want to speak to on this presentation. So that is not a problem at all. So is there a last few words any of you would like to say before we finish the webinar today?
I'd just like to add, obviously, if you are interested in joining CERIS, then all of the information is available on the website. There's downloadable frequently asked questions. You can access the portal and everything from there, which will go through to Sam and her team. And yeah, we'd be delighted to answer any questions you have about becoming a member. Either reach out to me or Dan directly, or obviously go to the website.
And follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter and all that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll make sure we'll get those all out to everybody, the attendees today, and make sure that happens. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much to you all, and for taking the time, and thank you to everybody that's come on today to listen. As I say, any questions, fire them through, no problem, and everyone have a great rest of the day. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.